In the summer of 2015, two young people who loved each other, Noah and Elise Parker, disappeared. They were hiking on a long, famous path called the Appalachian Trail. Their families looked for them for many years. The police found nothing at all. No bodies, no clues, just an empty space where the happy couple used to be. Until 6 long years later, when a man looking for deer stumbled on something very scary hanging deep in the tall trees. 2 skeletons. They were tied together with thick rope. They were facing the east as if they were still watching for a sunrise they could never reach. This is the very long story of love, big lies, and a hiking path that never forgets a secret. Noah Parker and Elise Parker truly seemed like the perfect couple. They were young, full of energy, and shared a deep, quiet love for the natural world. Noah was a wildlife photographer. He didn't just take pictures. He would sit still for hours, waiting for a hidden owl to blink or a bear cub to climb a tree. He wanted to show the world the beautiful, quiet secrets of the woods. He always carried his special camera with the long lens. Elise was a travel blogger. She wrote beautiful stories about all the amazing places they went. She didn't just write about the mountains. She wrote about how the mountains made her feel, small, happy, and free. She always carried her small, sturdy journal. The planning and the last night. In the spring of 2015, they started planning their biggest adventure, the Appalachian Trail. It's a huge, very long walking path that goes through many states. They called it their Forever Trek. They bought brand new bright blue backpacks and special waterproof hiking boots. They even made a small, special pact, a secret promise, before they left. Elise told Noah, "No matter what happens, no matter how lost we feel, we stay together, always." Noah gave her a small, smooth river stone saying, "This is our promise, it never breaks." On June 4th, 2015, they drove to the start of the trail. They took one last photo, a beautiful picture of them smiling, standing next to a big wooden sign that read, "The Appalachian Trail starts here." Their final update said, "Starting our longest walk yet, the Appalachian Trail, we are chasing the untouched silence one last time. See you in 40 days. Noah kissed Elise's forehead, tightened her backpack straps, and they walked off into the bright green woods. Everyone who saw the photo thought, what a beautiful life they have. The first whispers of trouble. For the first few days, they sent small, happy texts to their mothers. They talked about the cool air and the funny squirrels. But then, the text became shorter. The last text Elise sent to her mother was simple. "The quiet is getting too quiet. We'll call when we get to the first big town." When weeks turned into months, and their big backpacks, their tent, and their special hiking boots never turned up, people started to whisper. Their silence was too long and too deep. Elise's mother, Margaret, was the first to feel true fear. She knew her daughter would never miss her birthday. When the birthday passed and the phone didn't ring, Margaret knew something terrible, or someone, had found them first and hidden their things. The happy adventure had turned into a cold mystery. The search was long and sad. After weeks of looking, the rangers found only one clue. It was Elise's journal, buried halfway under wet leaves near the border of Tennessee. The last thing Elise wrote in her journal was chilling. It said, "We're not alone on this trail. Someone's following us at night." The police in charge said Elise was probably just scared because the woods were dark. They called it paranoia, worrying too much. But the people who lived near the trail told a different, much scarier story. They spoke of a man named Jonas Creed. Jonas Creed was a strange man who lived all by himself deep in the woods. He was a reclusive ex-hiker, a hiker who had stopped hiking and hated people. He was known to stalk, follow secretly hikers. Jonas had been accused one time before of yelling at and threatening hikers, telling them to leave his wood. But the police never charged him because they had no real proof. By the time the investigators drove deep into the forest to find Jonas's small cabin, it was too late. Jonas was gone. His little house was burned completely to the ground. The police had lost their first best suspect. Margaret's promise and the secret feeling years passed. 4 long years, then 5. The Parkers' families never gave up hope. Elise's mother, Margaret, was the bravest. She spent every summer walking the path her daughter had taken. She learned every tree, every rock, and every bend in the trail. Margaret claimed she could feel Elise's presence, the feeling that Elise was still nearby. She felt that something in the woods was calling her back. She knew her daughter was there somewhere. Then in the year 2021, 6 whole years after Noah and Elise vanished, the final piece of the puzzle was found. A hunter named Rick Delaney was far from the main path, looking for a good spot to wait for deer. He was deep in a forest area called the Shenandoah section of the trail. Rick stumbled across something that made him scream and drop his gun. 2 skeletons, hanging from a thick, tall sycamore tree. The skeletons were entwined together, twisted around each other by thick rope. At first, Rick thought it was a scary joke or a strange art installation, but then he saw the sunlight catch something small and shiny. It was a wedding ring, still on the finger bone of one of the skeletons. The police and the FBI rushed to the spot. They confirmed the impossible. It was Noah and Elise Parker. The forensic clues. The special police doctors, forensics, studied the skeletons very carefully. Both Noah and Elise had been strangled, choked with the rope. Their hands were bound tightly behind their backs, but there were no bullet holes, no knife cuts. And the strangest thing of all, their skulls showed signs of fracture patterns, broken lines in the bone that matched a terrible thing, hanging while they were still alive. They had fought hard. The FBI quickly reopened the case as a double homicide. 2 people murdered. The puzzle of the search, but something else confused the police boss, Chief Denton. How could their remains have stayed untouched and undisturbed for 6 long years, when that exact section of the forest had been searched 5 separate times by rangers and FBI agents? This meant that the bodies were either hidden very well or moved there later. A few weeks later, a good man came forward. He was a retired ranger named Edgar Holton. He was old and quiet, but he couldn't keep the secret anymore. He told Detective Hayes, a new, honest detective brought in for the case, that he had seen Noah and Elise 6 years earlier, not just hiking, but having a loud, scary argument with another man near a trail checkpoint. The man matched the exact description of Jonas Creed, Holton. Jonas was shouting, pointing his finger at Noah's camera. Noah looked scared, holding his camera tight. Holton remembered reporting it back then, 6 years ago. But his boss, Chief Denton, told him to keep quiet, that the investigation had already found a suspect. The fake suspect was the angry bear, or the bad weather, not a person. Now, years later, Ranger Holton felt huge guilt for staying silent. The poaching clue detective Hayes and her team went back to the old burned remains of Jonas Creed's cabin. They searched the black ashes again, inch by inch. They found a rusted, heavy lockbox buried under the ashes, hidden right beneath the old stove. Inside the lockbox were dozens of old Polaroid photos of hikers. Some were smiling and alive. Some looked scared and terrified. And some were clearly taken moments before death. And right in the middle was a bright picture of Noah and Elise. Noah looked sad and Elise looked terrified. The photo was dated just days before they vanished. The police saw that Noah's photo showed something else, a dead deer hidden behind a bush. Detective Hayes realized the truth. Jonas and his secret partner were running an illegal poaching ring in the park, trapping, killing, and selling rare wildlife for big money. The forensics team took the tiny pieces of the special Polaroid film and traced it to a small local supply store. The owner remembered the strange, quiet hiker, Jonas Creed, and another man he came with often. Store owner. Jonas was always buying rope, special, quiet camera batteries, and strange metal traps. But he was always with Deputy Carl Denton. The police station chief, Chief Williams, felt sick. Deputy Carl Denton was the second in command. He was supposed to be a hero. The shocking revelation, Detective Hayes, the new honest investigator, marched into the station. She didn't believe the easy answers. She looked at the sign-in sheets for the evidence room. She saw Denton's name repeated often. Denton was the chief of the Rangers and had full, free access to the entire investigation. He had even signed off the searched zones, signing his name to 5 different papers saying the search teams had checked the exact area where the couple's bodies were later found. He lied 5 times. Hayes slammed the evidence on Denton's desk. The photo of Noah and Elise, the lockbox with the other terrified hikers, and the store owner's statement. Confronted with the pictures and the owner's story, Deputy Carl Denton finally broke down, crying cold, hard tears that didn't look sad, but angry. He confessed the terrible truth. He and Jonas had been running an illegal poaching ring. They were catching and killing very rare animals in the park to sell the fur and meat for big money. The confrontation and the rope Noah, the wildlife photographer, had accidentally taken a picture of one of their hidden hunting sites. The photo showed a dead, rare black bear caught in Denton's cruel metal trap, with Jonas standing nearby. Noah, who loved animals, confronted them angrily. He said he would take the picture to the FBI. To silence Noah, Denton and Jonas captured both Noah and Elise. They forced them deep into the woods. Denton confessed the worst part. "We didn't shoot them. We wanted them to suffer. We made them tie each other up first, using the very rope we used for our traps." Denton and Jonas watched as Noah and Elise used the heavy rope to tie their own hands together, believing it might be a sick game that would end. Then Denton and Jonas finished the job, tying the rope around their necks and forcing them onto a thick tree branch. They pushed them off, strangling them with the rope as they hung. This explained the terrible broken neck bones. Denton then used his power as a ranger chief to make sure those search teams never went near the lover's tree. He made the entire area look like it had been searched perfectly. He had buried the truth under his badge. The police needed to find Jonas Creed. Denton told them the final, ugly truth. When the FBI started asking too many questions, Denton knew he had to stop Jonas from talking. Denton confessed. He drove Jonas deep into a remote, forgotten cave near the trail. He shot Jonas in the head with a single bullet, making it look like Jonas had killed himself. Denton sealed the cave entrance with rocks, burying his silent partner under the earth. But before he shot him, Jonas had written a quick note in the dark. "He made me do it. They wouldn't stop following us." Experts believe he meant Denton, and they meant the police and the investigation. But Denton made it look like Jonas killed himself because he was scared of the police. Denton is now serving 2 life sentences without parole for his crimes. The final note and the true fear. The police found Jonas's body, and near his hand, a quick note he had written in the dark just before he died. "He made me do it. They wouldn't stop following us." The police figured out that he meant Denton, who forced Jonas into the murder and then forced him to the cave. And they meant the police and the investigation. But Denton made the note look like Jonas killed himself because he was scared of the police catching the poaching ring. Denton is now serving 2 life sentences without parole for all his terrible crimes and lies. The unending echo. But the story of the Appalachian secret still isn't truly over. The families of Noah and Elise finally had the truth, but the forest never forgets. Hikers still report strange things near the sycamore tree, the place now sadly known as the Lover's Tree. People hear faint whispers like someone is saying, "We're not alone." They hear the strange sound of a camera shutter going off when no one is around, a ghostly echo of Noah's job. And some hear the faint, sad laughter of a woman, Elise's final sound, echoing in the deep, quiet woods. The forest kept its terrible secret, and now it keeps the memory. Noah and Elise Parker wanted to document the beauty of nature, but they became part of its most chilling, unforgettable secret. For 6 years, their story was buried beneath moss, rocks, and Denton's lies until justice finally found its way through the trees. In the Appalachian Trail, silence isn't peace. Sometimes it's a terrifying warning that you should never trust the path you're on.